How's that pure leaf iced tea?
Not bad.
Wow. Well, welcome to the Calvary Salmon podcast. Today we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. We just got back from...
Where have you been, Jordan?
Where have you been, Hagen?
I've been with you.
Oh. Well, we have been in the city of brotherly love, the great
More
city.
like the city of brotherly shove. Am I right?
That's a good one. No, I think it was a very lovely city. I enjoyed my time. No one shoved me while I was there. Did anyone shove you?
Probably not. I don't remember getting shoved.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be talking all about our trip on this week's episode of the Calvary Chapel Salmon podcast. It's going to be great. Hagen, what was Hagen, does it feel good to be home?
Jordan, it feels good to be back west.
Yeah.
Back in Idaho for sure.
Back in your home.
It was nice going out there to Philadelphia. I've been wanting to go. We went to what's called the East Coast Pastors Conference, and I've been watching that thing for years and have threatened to go out several times, and it just never really worked with my schedule. And then you came along, and you're kind of from around there, so it's like, well, someday me and Jordan will go. And it took us this long to make it happen, but we did it.
Yeah. Oh,
and we might make it an annual thing.
I think we should.
We might just
I think
do
it's
that.
worth it. With all the connections that we made down there.
Yeah.
All the friends.
Hey.
You have to go back and see
if we're
them
not
again.
back next year, they'll say, where are they?
Yeah.
Where did they go?
Where are those young, good-looking lads?
That's right.
Where is the future of the movement?
Yes.
Nice.
But yeah, it was fun. As far as the trip was nice. As far as just getting there.
Are you talking about like the travel?
Like the travel and just the trip aspect of it was good.
Sure. Getting there was nice. The return trip home was a little rough in my opinion.
That's interesting.
Really?
Because I almost thought going was worse than coming.
Yeah.
But
I
you
don't know.
slept going.
I slept going.
I
Yeah.
didn't really. So
yeah.
that felt
And on the
long to me.
return, yeah, that car ride back from Boise, even though we got Texas Roadhouse in Boise,
Was that rough?
was great.
That rough?
It was okay, but then like that kind of, I think that's when I started to feel a little icky, and then I got sick that Sunday morning, or I felt sick that Sunday morning, and I just still haven't recovered from that.
Wow.
As you might be able to tell from my voice, maybe not being full of its normal life
Yeah.
and juvenileness. So, but yeah, it was still nice driving back into Salmon and seeing the sky and the green and the mountains and being like, wow. This is a beautiful place.
Home.
Yep.
And you have a home in home, so that's good.
California's nice. Philadelphia's nice, but it's nothing compared to Salmon, Idaho.
There's no place like home.
And it's nice going back to your own home, even though your home smells a little weird. So
No.
that's a little weird. Yeah, I'm gonna rip up the rest of that carpet tonight. I decided.
Really?
Yeah.
And have
gotta
what?
go.
What's under it? The same floor?
Wood floor. I'm assuming. I'll make sure before I go crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it might just be plywood. Did you get your laminate in, or your?
No, I'm gonna wait for Tim to help me with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've been recovering.
I have been recovering. Yeah, these last couple of days have been it does not feel like it's Tuesday. These last couple of days have been a haze.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm here and I'm focused.
You're getting out
I'm
of
locked
it.
in. I'm not locked out, as Reva would say.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yes. So these conferences are kind of fun.
They are kind of fun.
It's hard to kind of explain them.
Sure.
But first of all, let me talk about the advantage to Calvary Chapel conferences that I actually know in contrast to other conferences or what some call conventions.
Huh.
I know that yearly, because I've watched online before, not to bash anyone, but like the Southern Baptists get together for their Southern Baptist Convention and these other denominations. And at these conventions or convocations or whatever conventions, part of it is you're there to politically, you're there to vote on how things are going directionally, or you're there to vote in new leadership for the movement. And there's this political aspect to it that gets really weird. And what I like about the way Calvary Chapel does things, there's zero of that. We're not showing up to voice Calvary Chapel Salmon's opinion on gay marriage and hope the movement sticks with what we think. Like that's not at all what's on our radar. We're there to just receive from the word. We're there to just worship the Lord. We're there to make connections with other pastors, and that's it. There's zero politics like in other denominations.
Joe Focht cares 0% about what we have to say about the direction of the movement.
That's right.
Which is kind of nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
In the same way, I don't care what you think about stained glass in our new building.
Sure.
Joe Focht.
Not me in particular, right? Other people.
Whoever, right?
Yeah.
We agree, I think.
Yeah, I see your vision of no stained glass. I agree. But yeah, that is kind of nice.
So just a time of refreshing. It's a time of a lot of teaching. So there's a lot of sessions.
Sure, 10 sessions, which is a lot.
And worship, and then just connections, running into people you've known, meeting people you've never met before. So just that whole vibe of it.
Yeah,
and then there's, go ahead.
I was just getting to pray with people or people praying for you.
And then there's
Very
these different kind of ministries, booths, if you will, that set up that can come in to learn about maybe different missions organizations or outreach things or these type of things. So yeah, just the whole thing is fun. They feed us really well. What did we have?
Sure. Well, we had steak the first night, which
that was
really
good, huh?
It was really
New
good.
York strip steak.
Yeah.
With potatoes and this
baked potato
chocolate pudding.
Yeah, it was delicious.
And, yeah.
Yeah, they said something about they had like 200 volunteers just from the church
to
facilitate and keep things going and man the food and all that. That was a lot of people just from Calvary, Philly. Serving.
You could eat pretzels, soft pretzels.
Yep.
And water ice.
Water ice, Hagen. Yeah, the youth group was in charge.
I really
of
love that water
pretzel.
ice.
No, it's water ice. Water ice. That's so ridiculous. That was the first time you've ever had water ice, right, Hagen?
Sure, I've had shaved ice.
That's not the same thing.
But never
completely
water
different.
ice.
Water ice is Italian.
Is it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It could also be called Italian ice, but it's water ice. Yeah. But yeah, so that was, let's back up a little bit.
Does it come in
Hagen.
buckets?
Yeah, they can get it in buckets.
So it's not like shaved ice where you put this flavoring on top of shaved ice.
No, that's like a snow cone.
Yeah.
No.
It seems like a snow cone, but
it's not a snow cone. It's a different texture to it.
It is a different texture.
Yep.
Smoother.
Yeah, exactly. Less aggressive.
Yeah.
A snow cone's like, I'm biting into like a
ice, like snow.
Yeah, it's like, ugh. Water ice is like, it's just smooth and delicious. It just goes right down the gullet. But let's back up, Hagen. Let's talk about our travel. So we left Sunday afternoon, right?
Right after second service.
Me, you, and a pumpkin, aka Avery.
Yes.
Drove all the way down to Boise. And our flight was a little exciting, wasn't it? Arriving on our flight.
It worked out perfect.
Yeah, for sure. Just traveling was we really were down to the wire. Got on our plane as soon as we could, and we pulled up there, and they were like, we were looking for you. We're like, well, we're here.
Here we are.
So they scan our tickets. They take our bags because there was no more room up in the overhead bins, and we just walk onto the tarmac, walk onto the plane, and then we take off. And it's just like, whoa, we made it just in time.
Yeah.
And then we go the wrong way, which is interesting because Philadelphia is this way on the map, and we went this way to Seattle.
That's right.
Which is just kind of strange. And so we land in Seattle. But before I land in Seattle, I talked to this guy who wanted to sell me a hot tub, which I thought was fun.
Oh, on the plane?
Yeah, I forget his first name, which is probably good. But he was a hot tub salesman, and I was talking to him. And he actually he wanted to be a pastor and had gone to, I think he was Canadian. He was a Canadian hot tub salesman, which I guess in Canada they would probably like those a lot.
Sure, I bet they fill them with maple syrup.
Ooh, sounds good. He had wanted to become a pastor, but then he had given up on that dream. And I got the vibe that he was kind of like not into Christianity so much anymore. Just kind of this whatever. I don't know who heard him or whatever, but he seemed a little upset.
Huh.
But I told him, you know what? You should watch the Jesus Revolution movie. And it was so fun. And the lady in front of you, in the row in front of us, like she had like kids, right? She turns around instantly and says, "That's a really good movie. You should watch it." I'm like, "Heck yeah!" And so he looked it up and he said, "Okay, I'll have to give this a watch."
Yeah,
and so hopefully
awesome.
The Jesus Revolution breaks his preconceived notions about stuffy religion or church that might affect him, and he can love Jesus and maybe give up this hot tub salesman job and become a pastor in a new Calvary.
You never know.
We'll see. And then we got there and we had a long flight from Seattle to Philadelphia, but it didn't seem that long because I slept.
That's when you sleep. Huh?
Yeah, I was knocked out a couple times. And then we land in Philadelphia at 6:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
We get our nice Jeep Grand Cherokee. What do we get?
No, Jeep Compass, I think.
It was nice, whatever it was. Drove to the hotel, which is right in the middle of the city, smack dab in the center city, where all the action is.
That's
where,
right.
That's where Hagen found his hotel. That's where the Best Western
There's
was.
not even any parking at the hotel.
Sure, yeah, you had to go
I'm
and
like,
pay.
so where do we park? They're like, we don't do parking. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
They're like, she's a little sassy. She was a dark woman, but she loved Jesus.
but she loves Jesus. That's funny.
And she said, there's a sign outside that says where to park. And I'm like, okay. I wasn't sure if that was for everyone or if, like, I don't know, customers had somewhere they could park for free. There's a concept, but no.
Well, that's what you get when you go Best Western, you know,
Please,
low
they're the
quality. It's right in the name.
Yeah.
So we parked there. It's like $100 for 3 days, but don't worry, I got reimbursed by the church just today, so that's good. It was a business expense. Yeah. And so we parked there, we take a little nap, and then we're off to the conference. Drive 45 minutes.
Mind you, not eating anything that day.
That's true. Yeah, our first meal was the steak.
Was steak dinner.
Yeah, but I
like, this is great. It's like, yeah, when you haven't eaten anything
I
all
wasn't
day.
honestly that hungry, which
Yeah.
is weird. I probably would have been starving because the last meal I had was Wendy's in Seattle the night before.
That's wild.
I guess my body was just so confused that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that steak dinner was good. Do you want to talk about all the speakers, Hagen, at the conference, or?
Yeah, I think I don't remember them all like you do because you just have such a great memory.
Please.
But what I would say is if you're like, what are these guys doing? They could actually watch them.
Oh, yeah.
If they go to what, ccphilly.org or .com?
ccphilly.org, or there's the app you could download.
Are you looking for your phone?
Oh, yeah, my
It's right
phone's up there. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, ccphilly.org.
If you click on like messages and then you click on conferences, it'll just be the 2025
yeah, and it's
Pastors
actually
Conference.
like on their front of their page right now.
And
But I'll put a link to it in the show notes,
Wow.
as some people would say.
That's right.
Yep. So
But it was a good time. The first speaker, not a pastor.
no, then sometimes like to change it up.
Yeah.
And
this-
you know, I was thinking about this before we get into this, because I've been listening to, like, I finished that Sean Ryan interview with Dave Ramsey, and I just finished Dave Ramsey's book Entree Leadership, which is a pretty good book. And I was like, I wonder like why. I don't know. I feel like at these conferences, because we're all pastors and leaders, it's like I wonder why it's not like more leadership focused, like how to be a leader,
yeah.
you know. And then some of the pastors kind of touched on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like if I was ever invited to speak at a leadership conference,
We'll never be invited.
which is not something on my radar, but just like I don't know, just talking about how to be a good leader.
Yeah, I know
there's
that the only place I've really seen that is when I go to conferences that have breakout sessions. And sometimes the breakout sessions will be more geared towards like church business or dealing with employees or like things like that.
Sure.
But I've never seen it at a main session. And I think part of the reason is because the way you lead a 2,000 person church and the way you lead a 20-person church is so different.
That's true.
Like my day-to-day and Joe Foch's day-to-day is extremely different. So it's hard to, I think maybe they think it's hard to speak so broadly because it's so broad.
Sure.
But you would probably argue there's principles.
Yeah, exactly.
that
I don't know.
We could all implement.
Yeah, like casting vision, having high expectations for the people. I don't know.
Like not showing up to work 52 minutes late.
Sure.
And if you do, you get a butt chewing.
Sure,
Not
but
you,
but
but
not
anyone.
but not in front of everyone. That's what Dave Ramsey taught.
Well, if people were listening, that's on them. Not
Dave
me.
Ramsey says you should never scold someone in public because it destroys loyalty. But I guess this guy's probably already loyal to you pretty
better
intensely. So you better be.
Yeah.
Yes, I think there's just like I don't know. Again, I think this is kind of to your point, but the thing that came to mind is like hiring and firing people. Like, who do you want to hire at, and how do you go about that? And I guess if you only have a 20-person church, you're not really hiring anyone. You're just the guy. But like, there's still like this
Yeah, I know
principles
some,
where like, well, if you're gonna have someone come alongside you, hopefully you're gonna grow. Hopefully there's people volunteering.
Yeah, the guy in Tri-Cities, I don't know if it's a rule for himself that he's made up, but what he has is he only has people from within. Like he doesn't bring people from out
Sure.
on staff.
Yeah.
So like what I did with you is I brought you from the outside in,
Which is always a gamble.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there's philosophies there. It's
Sure.
like, oh, we're looking from our own people for our own church, and that's where it's going to come from. Or here's a ministry like CBI that's raising up people, and I can go from there and try to transplant people into what God's doing. So those are different strategies too.
And I think that would just be good to talk about. Like, this is how you go about getting an intern or finding an intern. And here's this philosophy, and this is good. And you should try and find people from your own church. But it's also okay if you want to go find some intern. And
Sure.
this is what you should do if you're intern, and this is what you should not do if you're intern. And
What shouldn't you do with your intern?
probably a lot of things.
That's probably true. Probably a lot of things.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know. I just think, but you're right. I guess it's just kind of broad. But the sessions that we heard were pretty awesome, and I'm glad that they talked about what they talked about.
Because none of them were assigned, from what we hear.
Sure,
They were told to share what's on their heart.
share what's on their heart. Yeah, I think that was the phrase, and they definitely did. And yeah, no, they were all good.
Yeah.
I don't know
I re-listened to my favorite one,
which one was that.
when I got rid of you, and then I was in that hotel in Santa Ana alone. I sat in the bathtub that morning and re-listened to Philip McIntosh.
Film. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And was it as good as you remembered?
I heard more the second time.
Sure.
And I thought, how did I completely miss this, and this?
Yeah, you can definitely miss those things.
So-
Yeah. Especially for that one, we were so far away from him. We were in the back of the room for that one.
We were in the back. We were further back than I would have liked to have been, but for some reason we kept being late,
yeah.
which is not like me.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
would rather be there early and like be settled in, but we just rolled up late to a lot of
Well,
them.
yeah, I think that had something to do with sleeping in. And then someone just had to go and stop and get Wawa in that morning.
Well,
which is
the
a
one time
convenience
it had to
store.
do with maybe sleeping in, and then we went out to dinner with the group and got back kind of late.
Yeah, that's
So-
true. Yeah. But the first speaker was when we first got there, and we were a little sleepy still, but it was this guy named Chad Robakez. I don't know the
I don't know either.
But
What's
he
he do?
was this he worked for he was a military guy. I don't want to say a Marine.
I
I'm
think
not
a
sure.
Navy SEAL.
I think a Navy SEAL. Yeah, which is better than a Marine, I hear, right?
Well, not to Marines, they're not, but to
okay,
them they are.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But then he got out of that, wasn't a Christian, got into MMA fighting, became really good, and I actually looked up his record, and yeah, he was pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Didn't lose that many times. He lost like twice
nice.
out of all these fights, so that's pretty good. And then PTSD, life falling apart, found Jesus. And then he started this foundation called the Mighty Oaks Foundation, which was kind of cool. And he talked all about that. And yeah, just kind of talking about helping veterans and stuff like that. Were there any things that you remember from
In
that
their
one?
ministry, the Mighty Oaks Foundation, they have these retreats, maybe I think you'd call them, type of a deal. And their ministry pays to fly
Which is a cool thing.
like veterans.
Yeah.
Like if we had a veteran in Salmon, we could hook them up with this ministry. This ministry would pay all of their traveling expenses to go and be at this retreat type of a deal. So it is neat. Yeah.
Yeah, which is super cool. Yeah, and this was one of the guys where it's like, how big of a deal are you? You know?
Because
And-
they name drop. It's like, oh, President Trump, blah
Sure,
blah blah.
sure.
These type of-
And but then after looking him up, it's like, okay, this guy seems pretty legit. Yeah, this guy was kind of name dropping, but it's like, okay, actually, I think you are pretty cool and legit. So
and I don't know if you even have recognized this, but later on, Joe talked about how this guy sent a video of us singing, of the whole conference
Sure.
singing to Phil Robertson, who died.
that is true. I didn't even
One
make
of the
that
last
connection.
things he saw was us singing to the Lord, and he said it blessed him. His wife texted back and said he smiled at that.
Miss K texted
Yeah.
back. Wow, we were the last ones to bless Phil before he passed. Do you know how he died?
He had like Alzheimer's or dementia. He was sick, cancer.
Aw.
Yeah, he was sick.
That sucks.
But in the same way that JD Vance was the last with the Pope.
We were the last ones. That's cool. That's a really cool connection. I didn't even think about that. I guess if you know Phil Rogerson's
I think it's
Robertson's, sorry. Because of my sore throat, I've been slurring a lot recently.
Well, I think it's because of the medicine you're taking, honestly.
Probably, actually.
I think it's that Dayquil and NyQuil.
I'm on that Dayquil and NyQuil train.
It's your alternating back and
I'm not getting off anytime soon. So he was great, very inspiring, lots of fun stories. Next guy was Raz Vasquez from Miami, Calvary Chapel, Miami.
Which I don't think he's the senior pastor anymore. Did you gather that?
Oh, I don't know.
It sounded like he used to be, and like maybe his wife died, and now he's not anymore, but he still maybe serves there. That's what I learned.
Well, you know that you can't be a senior pastor and not be married, Hagen.
Someone said.
So if his wife passed away, and sorry, they must have taken it away from him.
Yeah. But it was confusing because on the schedule, it looked like he was only speaking for like 30 minutes or 20 minutes, and then he kept going. So it felt like, oh, is the schedule wrong, or is he just getting really comfortable?
Well, I think we started late too. I think the schedule was weird that day.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was only supposed to be 30 minutes, but then we started only giving him 15 minutes.
Okay.
So then I think he went for 45 minutes.
Yes.
So he was only 15 minutes over his scheduled time.
Okay.
But for us, it was a half an hour over. But it all worked out great because then we got steak afterwards, so everyone forgave him. But he talked about Philip the evangelist. And how my main takeaway was Philip was able to run up to that chariot and tell that Ethiopian eunuch about the gospel. And Raz pointed out how Philip wasn't out of breath. He was able to communicate the gospel after running. And so if you want to be able to preach the gospel, you better be in shape. You better be fit. You better be able to run.
He did make a point like that.
And I was like, huh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's good. I think that's often overlooked is the physical body.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's good to be in physical good shape.
In a sense, I can think of a lot of out of shape pastors.
Sure.
But also, if I think about who's in that room, I would say the majority are not terribly out of shape.
No.
Which was good.
No. Yeah. No, yeah.
Could I out push up any of them? Probably.
Out dip any of them?
Yes.
Joe, come on, dip challenge right now. Joe would beat you up though. No, not just for pastors, but I just think for anyone. It's because like the mind and the spirit and the body are like interconnected. It's like when you don't take care of your body, like your spirit and your mind are going to suffer.
Sure.
And so it's like all of it. So like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a good thing to point out. But yeah, I would say that the Calvary Chapel movement has the most swole pastors of any movement or denomination.
Swole?
Yeah.
Like swollen?
Like, yeah, like buff.
Have you seen Stephen Furtick? Have you seen the megachurch pastors in America?
Okay. Well, are they? I guess they do have their own denominations, but
Yeah, it's called non-denomination.
yeah, you're right. My bad. But yeah. So, do you think you get to do more push-ups than Stephen Furtick?
No.
Really?
I
He's
bet
just
he
that
could outdo
big?
me. Yeah.
Wow. Huh. Good for him. And then after our steak dinner, which was delicious, and during our steak dinner, we got to have dinner with not one Chris, but two Chris. And both of these Chris's work at Calvary Chapel, Philly. And both of these Chris's work in the children's ministry in Calvary Chapel, Philly.
Wow.
So it's kind of interesting. And the one Chris Lieberman, was quite a mentor for me growing up. Shout out to you, Chris, if you're watching. Soccer, basketball, refereeing for those, VBS, acting, all the things that make me who I am today, besides soccer, basketball, and refereeing, he was a part of, but just nice. Like he was just very good at getting me involved, I guess. So I liked, doing that growing up. But then we had Rich Chafin, which I really enjoyed. I think he was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He talked about having in Philippians the spiritual mind, and that was good. And it's just like, yeah, you either only have two types of minds, Hagen, the fleshly mind or the spiritual mind.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. I want to have the spiritual mind about these things.
For sure.
And it's like, yeah, I get so anxious and worked up about things. It's like, well, am I thinking about this with the spiritual mind or with the fleshly mind? And usually it's the latter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I liked Rich. He was also sitting down the whole time, right? Was that that guy?
Because he hurt his knee or something.
Yeah. Poor guy.
In Africa. When it started raining or some story. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
6 months ago. And then it just started acting up again. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of
interesting fella. Then that was it. And we, what did we do that night? We had communion. We had communion worship. So we didn't get out there till like 10:30, right?
Yeah. Because our hotel's like 40 minutes away from the church.
So we didn't get back to our hotel till like 11.
Yeah. And then someone had to stay up and read.
Of course, I needed to finish my entree leadership book. And then we slept in that next morning. We rested in the Lord. Woke up at like 8:30 and was like, oh, shoot. Oh, wait, no, was that the morning that we worked out? No, we worked out the first morning.
No, because the first morning was sleeping for 4 hours and then getting up and going.
No. Oh, so we worked out that morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got up early. We didn't sleep in that morning. We worked out.
Then we had to go to breakfast.
Gym
with
was
your
not
mom.
very impressive at Best Western. Would you say it was a good gym?
Better than the one I was at last time.
Oh, okay.
More room than the one I was at last time.
Oh, that's nice.
What were you hoping would be there?
I don't know. There was only one bench. Was that what you call it? There was only one bench.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but whatever.
Did you want it and I was using it?
No, it's fine. I did my push-ups and I did some squats. So that's good. I did my bicycle. Yeah, and then we got back, and then who spoke next? This guy named.
Well, we went to breakfast with your mom. Don't skip
that was very lovely. Yeah. Hi, Mom. Thanks for watching.
her birthday breakfast.
Did you enjoy breakfast with my mom?
Yeah, I got the omelet.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Lee Brainard.
We were late to him.
Yes. Oh, and he was the pre-trip guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was just talking.
Which was good.
Which, yeah, I actually liked that. It was very focused.
I want to go back and listen to that one.
Yeah. It was very focused. It was very, I don't know, just very like, he's like, here are like 4 things that are important in our movement. I forget, it was like the rapture, the tribulation, like the millennial reign, and one other thing. It's like essential, or like the return of Christ or something.
Yes.
And it's just like these are 4 things that are like essential to Calvary, and don't mess with them, and don't change them. And here's why we have good reasons to believe what we believe. And it was just like, yeah, this is solid. Because some would say, Hagen, that there's some people in our movement who are moving away from people, or moving away from traditional stances.
Moving away from people?
No. Moving away from traditional stances, maybe like even Israel. And maybe there's someone who would go up to one of the pastors and talk about how he doesn't believe in Israel anymore.
A young pastor here.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
There was a young pastor who doesn't believe that was still working with Israel at this East Coast Calvary Pastors Conference, which just blows my mind.
Everyone looks around.
Yeah, like, who is this guy? So it's just like, huh.
That was funny.
Yeah, so Lee Brainard was good. Then next we had Mike McIntosh, who I guess is a big deal in the Calvary movement.
Well, the computer's named after him.
Really?
The Macintosh computer.
Is it really named after him? No, I didn't think so. But he was interesting.
You know his testimony.
Yeah, he was like a druggie.
He took like a bunch of drugs and he felt like his head was blown off, and he went to church and they prayed for him. And he says he was healed and he's been normal. And I wonder, actually,
Has no one ever told him?
how normal he actually is.
Yeah.
God bless him.
I mean, I'm sure he's more normal than he was.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He was an evangelist forever. He would do
Sure.
these huge crusades.
Yeah. He just had a lot of stories.
He's
and
all over the place.
Yeah, he seemed like
I love it.
he's very all over the place. But he did talk about prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The importance of prayer.
which is important.
What else do you talk about?
Oh, yes. He talked about how back in his day, people respected God's house and would not wear baseball caps in the sanctuary. And my buddy Hagen was sitting next to me with a baseball cap on.
Yeah, me and 25% of the other people.
Yeah, and there was just one other guy kind of in front of us, and we saw him look around and take off his hat. It's like, come on, guy.
You can't get
Don't get in, yeah. He also-
And
long hair past your knees.
your ears.
So I guess that would get me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I thought in the hippie movement they were fine with haircut.
So
Like,
did
weren't you
I.
a hippie?
Yeah.
Like, isn't this whole thing about accepting people, not based on how they look?
It's interesting how people get when they get old.
Yeah.
I hope I don't get like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it gets a little weird. Yeah. I thought you were supposed to be cool like that. But I guess you're not cool. You're just old. But then after Mike McIntosh, we got his son, Philip McIntosh.
Who was the best?
Yeah. So tell us why you think he was the best.
I just like what he had to say. He's been through a lot. I mean, his
Yeah.
dad's church was this huge church in San Diego that had a 28-acre facility that they leased for like 30-something years. And they tried to buy it. And it looked like they were going to buy it. right up to just a few weeks out, and then the mind was changed and they lost everything. They lost all these buildings, this huge Christian school that had over 2,000 kids. And he transitioned to take over for his dad, and he had to go from that to renting a hotel with probably like 100 people from this church of thousands. And I just like that. He's been at the top, and now he's like humbled, and yet he's still just talking about the goodness of God.
That's cool. Yeah, that's some good. Did you just wink at me?
No, I winked beyond you. Someone was at the window.
Oh, Chase.
Could be anyone.
Why did you just wink at me?
Did you just kiss me? No. It's like that night in the hotel room when I thought you were telling me goodnight, I love you, to me, but you were on the phone with your wife.
My wife. And I do love you. I would tell you goodnight.
Thank you.
Yes. But I just wasn't doing it at that moment. And then after that, we had Sandy Adams, who's from the South and has this very Southern accent. It's just always fun to listen to.
Which I always love his messages. I just never really like them because he reads.
What do you mean?
He reads word for word his message. He types out word for word, and it sounds like he's narrating a book. It's like, if I want to listen to Audible, I'll listen to Audible. Like, just talk to me. Like, put those notes away and speak to me from your heart. That's what I want to tell him. Every time my favorite message from him was last year. I think at the California one. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like, I re-listened to that the other day, and that is such gold, the way he put that together, and about David and cutting off the robe of Saul. And it's like, yes, in ministry, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And like, I'll remember that for the rest of my life. So there's many teachings that Sandy has given that really speak to me, but his style, at first, it's hard for me to be interested, honestly. Because it just is like polished.
Yeah. You want something more
raw.
More raw.
Yeah.
More raw.
More Philip McIntoshes.
Oh, yeah. Be more like Philip Sigurdy.
But yeah,
a lot of
Greg Laurie's like that. Greg Laurie reads.
Oh yeah.
A manuscript. John Randall reads straight from a manuscript, and you can tell. It's like, okay, some people just need that. But
not like us. We're just free flowing.
Not us Gerald Hagermaners.
Yeah, you never know what
margin of the Bible. Put the notes in the margin of your Bible.
You never know what we're gonna say.
We never know what we're gonna say. What did I just say?
It's the Holy Spirit. That's what I like to call it. And then we had dinner, and that's when we went out to the best Philly cheesesteak place in the world.
In the world.
Yep. Called Curly's. A little bit of a drive, but worth it.
Yeah. Met up with some people we already knew.
Yep. From BJ California, Joshua Springs.
BJ from Joshua Springs and Gerald from CVI and Fem from JS, and
they're all from Joshua
this
Springs.
Guy from Ukaipa, and some other people from Far Reaching Ministries, West Bentley's ministry. So that was fun. I felt really so. Fun. You know, I've been known of saying that I really like BJ, but I've never got to spend that much time with him. And I'll see him a few times a year. Honestly, it's just like, hey, it's like I really wish I could spend more time with BJ. And when I got the text from him that, hey, some of us are going to dinner at this place, it was like, I'm in.
Aww.
I'm in.
I'm best friends with BJ. And he told you all about his Tesla?
I asked him about his Tesla, and he just loved talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we were down there in California on Friday. Should have asked him to ride in it.
Yeah, you should have. But that was good. The food, the wings were really good. The cheesesteak was pretty good. The wings were delicious.
Yeah.
And then after that, we had Gary Hamrick, who I liked all the ones that ended the day the most.
Really?
So I liked Rich and Gary and then Don, who ended all the days. Those are all my favorites. Something about just the ending.
So Loudoun County, Virginia is where his church is. And that was what was going on there a couple years back that his church was super involved with. Stuff with COVID, but something with the school district and teachers maybe like refusing to use like pronouns or something, and his church got right in the middle of it, and it like blew up. Like his church like exploded because of this stand that he took in the community, and
like it exploded in a good way or a bad way.
Yeah, he got a lot of press coverage, and he's just like bold. He's like the Jack Hibbs of the East Coast, quite honestly. And now they have this huge private school that they're starting because Loudoun County, the county they're in, was just so corrupt. It's like, you guys are so screwed up. We're going to start our own thing. And they just started their own school. They got like thousands of students coming, and it's just wild what they're doing. Yeah.
Huh.
But it's right there. It's like right outside of DC in Virginia. So it's just the swamp, you know?
Yeah. The swamp.
Yeah.
Well, good for him. Well, I liked him.
But that's what he's up to.
Yeah. He was talking all about Psalm 42.
And you know what? He should put that in a booklet.
Yeah.
And take it across the world.
And he'd do big.
That's what Don McClure told him.
Don McClure.
Don McClure came up to him afterwards and said, that was the best message I've ever heard. You need to put that in a booklet. And he said, yes, sir. Oh, that's so funny.
My favorite quote from the whole conference came
you
from
love
this guy. Yes. Wait.
I'll never forget it.
Speak to yourself before you listen to yourself.
That's right.
You need to talk to yourself before you listen to yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, we listen to ourselves.
Well, the
all the
problem
time.
with me is I talk to myself a lot. I just don't listen much.
To yourself? What? You're crazy.
You listen to yourself?
Yeah. Like all these thoughts coming
you
into
need
my
to
head.
talk to yourself
I know.
Well, that's the problem. I'm doing too much talking, not enough listening, maybe.
So you have the opposite problem?
Well, it's like, what's the point of talking if you're not going to listen?
What? No, you need... What?
The point is like you need to speak in God's truth into your life, I think, before being like driven by your inner emotions.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like you're like in control, speaking in truth, instead of being just like at the mercy of what's happening inside of you. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's what I meant.
That's good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
So what'd you say to yourself today?
Hmm.
I am blessed. I am called. I am healed. I am.
There's not been a lot going on
saved
up in here.
In
past 2 days.
Jesus' name.
I've just kind of been on
Highly
autopilot.
favored, anointed, and filled.
And then
with
we
your
had
power
the next
for
day,
the glory of
Joel
Jesus'
Rosenberg.
name. Do you know him?
Well, of course.
So he's like a big author. He writes a lot of fictional books about Israel, like novels. Is that fiction or nonfiction?
Is it real or not
What's
real?
a novel? Not real.
Then that's nonfiction.
I get him
Or
confused.
fiction.
So he writes a lot of novels
Fiction is not real, yeah.
about like war in Israel and the end times.
Oh,
and
wow.
They're actually really good. I've never read them,
But they're really good.
but I have them on Audible and I've never listened to them, but they're really good. And he's a good speaker.
Yeah.
And he's a Jew, and he has dual citizenship in Israel and in the United States. So he lives in Israel part of the time and then here, which is nice.
Yeah. Choose a side. I saw the meme last night. It's like the world's $8 billion in debt to someone. And it's like, who are we $8 billion in debt to? Like the whole Earth's in, like $8 billion in debt. Like who are we in debt to? And it's a picture of Jupiter, and it says Jupiter with a little yarmulke on it. We're all just in debt to the Jews. I thought it was really funny.
Good.
No, don't listen to the conspiracy theories. We're not all in debt to the Jews.
And he has a podcast, The Rosenberg Report, I think.
Have you listened to it?
As well as a news show on TBN that airs nightly, I think.
Dang.
So he's a bit of a big deal as well. So you can look him up if you're into that. I think it's called The Rosenberg Report. Joel Rosenberg.
Yeah. He's a big deal, but yeah, we got him to come to our conference because we're a big deal. Our movement. Joe Foch, who's basically the leader of the movement.
Did you ask him to come to the youth camp as well?
I should. I didn't get time to pull him aside.
Yeah.
Next year, maybe.
You're too busy telling him you don't believe in the Jews. He's the one that said that.
He's the one?
He's the one that said someone was talking to me.
Yeah. Yep. Which is crazy. Which is crazy to say to Joel Rosenberg.
Yeah.
And then finally, Don McClure. And it's like, I knew I really liked Don McClure, but I was like, what did he talk about that I liked so much? And so that's one that I kind of need to go back and listen to. I listened to some of it again, and it's just like the idea of like he shared his vision, which I'm pretty sure he shared this vision before, but like Jesus and him in this room, and he has like all these toys, and he's so happy. And then Jesus keeps bringing him these toys. And he's just like, yeah, Jesus, thank you so much. I'm so happy.
And
but then
then
Jesus starts taking away all these toys. And he's like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And he gets to the end, and Jesus is like, I thought I was the whole point. And it's just like, the way he tells it is just so good. He just really draws it out. It's like, yeah. And it's kind of poetic because you look at this guy who, because Don McClure is kind of like the biggest dog. Probably as far as like if anyone can like make like any claims to like he was right there with Chuck Smith for years, like a pastor with Chuck Smith and all these things, and like did his own church, and like now he's just kind of traveling around speaking. It's just like, like you kind of got a lot. It's just like, but he's coming to the end of his life and he knows that his health's going down. And he knows that, and he just kind of sees everything kind of going away in a sense. And it's just like,
Yeah.
you had it all, and now you're kind of
You're old.
Now you're old
die.
and you're done, and it's like, yeah, but you still got Jesus, and that's the only thing that matters. And it's just like, yeah, it's good. And he talked about an orchestra too, and I need to go back and listen to it because I forget what the orchestra represents, like playing every instrument in the orchestra or something like that.
We want to play every instrument, or
I think so. I need to listen to it again.
yeah,
I always like Don McClure's messages.
good.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the conference. It was a lot.
It was
Lots of information.
It was good.
Yeah.
So then the next day, we get to do a little sightseeing.
That's true.
Your very own father,
My very own
Jeremy,
father. Jeremy, yes.
Jeremy Schaefer, and we met up with your very own brother, Tyler Schaefer, who works right in the heart of Philly.
Right next to Independence Hall Square.
Led us around. We saw the bell. We saw the house Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence in. We saw some other things.
Hall.
We had some hot dogs wrapped in pretzels for lunch
Yeah, that's right.
at the, what's it called?
Reading Terminal Market.
At the Reading Terminal Market. And it was just nice.
It was a nice time. And then we hopped on a car, drove it to the airport, and then, yeah, we were off.
To me, the best, not the best, but one of the most valuable things out of that trip that we've talked about, but I don't know if you understand how serious I am about it. And that is about doing a mission trip there next year.
Sure.
I just watched, I don't know if you've seen this YouTube video that's like an hour and 40 minutes long that someone did on the Rock Ministries. And this guy's not even a Christian. He has this channel where he travels the world and looks at things. And he spends this whole time with Bud or Billy or Bob or whatever the guy's name is. And it was just really good. Because it's like, it's literally like, here's this worldly YouTube channel who's watching what this ministry is doing in Kensington. And he's like trying to kind of figure it out, and he can't quite figure it out. And, but he knows what they're doing is good and working. And it just gets a good picture as far as like what's going on there and what that ministry is like.
Yeah.
So.
I do think that was super valuable. Yeah. So hopefully we're able to go and do a mission trip there next year, or maybe, yeah, we'll see when we're able to do that. But yeah, it's basically, for those of you who don't know, Kensington's like the super I think it's like the worst or one of the worst places as far as drug use and crime and violence in the nation. Like, it's just this little strip in Philadelphia. Like, it's really bad, like probably the worst. But then like there's this ministry, which I think partners with or came out of Calvary, Philly. I'm not quite sure of the history there, but there's definitely this strong connection there. It's this church planted right there in the middle, and it's super cool, the model, because it's basically this half church, half gym, boxing gym. And the whole point is you kind of get kids in there off the streets and you kind of teach them boxing and discipline, but then you also get them God's word. And every single year they do the Rock the Block, where basically they do this big old community outreach where if like face painting and balloon animals and all this stuff, and they have like the boxing gym outside and they do all this whatever, and they preach the gospel and give out food and whatever. And then every day they're sending out chaplains and people with medical care for the people who are on drugs, and they're preaching the gospel every single day. And it's just like a really cool, really intense ministry, but it would be really cool to send a group there. Honestly, I was joking, but I think this is still true. I think it might be harder to convince parents to send their kids there than it is to Mexico. Yeah. Just because of how, I mean, it's probably just as dangerous. I mean, anywhere is dangerous, but I don't know.
Anywhere with you.
Of course. Of course. But yeah, it's just like an intense spot. But I think it'd be cool because it's just like, this is not some foreign country where these people are hopeless and broken and poor. This is like America.
And it's actually, it's really, it's such a, because in one sense, there's a political issue to the thing as far as like, what's the city doing to fix this problem? And it really just forces you to evaluate, like, what is the actual solution? Because it's like, one solution is, here's all these people using drugs, so we're going to actually provide free needles, so at least they're not spreading AIDS. It's like, was that a solution at all? That's almost enabling. So it's like, that doesn't seem to be working. And then literally, like on this YouTube video, they're just like walking down the street, and there's like this guy that's shot up on whatever, fentanyl or whatever, and he's just like laying there unconscious. He could be dead, you don't know. And people just walk right past him. Like no one's even giving this guy the time of day. And it's like, and this guy, you know, hey, are you okay? And like wakes him up. It's like, you got to sit up, because if you lay out, you might aspirate, you might choke on your vomit and die. You need to sit up. Do you want help? No, I'm fine. Okay, off to the next one. You can only help those who want help. But there's just like, it's so easy to just like overlook those people. And that's what's hard. And it's, I don't know, it's probably easier for people who are raised around it, but coming from Salmon, where you don't have a lot of homeless people, when I travel places, the people I engage with are the homeless people. Like those are the people when I'm walking places that I talk to. Because I'm very curious about them, because I know sometime in their life they were probably normal, and they had a house and they had a family, and choices got them to where they're at. And I'm just like really fascinated with that. But even like when we were in Hawaii, we were helping this dude out, trying to get him a bike tube. And we went through Target buying our own stuff. And he was supposed to meet us at Target, and we didn't know if he was going to be there or not. We walk out of Target, and he's there. He's got his bike turned upside down. So I said to Chase, I said, well, let's go back in and find a tube. I said, do you want to stay out here with him, or do you want to come with me to get the tube? And Chase goes, I don't want to stay with him. And I said, why not? He goes, he's weird. And I said, he's completely normal. And he was a little, you know, he's been on drugs. He's a little weird, but it's like, there's nothing weird about this guy outside the fact he's a druggie. But like he's like, I don't know. Like I have zero like intimidation or judgment towards those people. Like honestly, zero. Like, I just want to hear from you. I just want to pray for you. And if I can help you, I want to do it in whatever way that looks like. Like, I just really like that. So there's that. So.
You're a special egg, Hagen.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's
because
unique.
because it's like, we'll get a job, and it's like, yeah, they do need a job, but the problem is the cycle. They're in a cycle. They can't get a job because they're on drugs, or they have a felony, or whatever their problem is. So they get caught in this trap, and they need something, some sort of system, some sort of ministry to get them breaking the cycle. Well, why are you homeless? Because I can't have a job. Why don't you have a job? Well, because I don't have a car. Why don't you have a car? Well, because I don't have a job and I don't have a house. And it's like, and you're just stuck. And 1 year turns into 20 years, and you just make it on the streets. And it's like,
that is interesting to me, how people do survive.
You got to break them.
It's like, how do you survive?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so interesting.
How do you
and
survive?
They don't survive here. They can't.
The weather gets them.
Yeah.
So
but in other places they can survive, and it's just
Yeah.
like fascinating. It's like, huh. It's just like, and it's just interesting how we as humans adjust so easily. And it's just like, people can be homeless, but in some ways they're content. Maybe not
Sure.
content, but they're just kind of like, this is my life.
And kind of that.
And it's just like, you're living out like a literal cardboard box.
Sure.
But for them, it's just normal.
And that can make us uncomfortable that they're okay with it. In the same way that some people do when they go to Mexico or Kenya, you think your life needs to look like mine, or your life isn't good. Maybe these people don't want shoes.
Sure.
Maybe they are okay with not having TV and a house and running water and pooping. The problem is, society-wise, when they move into a community and they're taking over towns and pooping on the streets of San Francisco, like, that becomes a problem for the city. And I'm not advocating that at all, but it's like, just because someone's okay at a lifestyle, like, it really makes us weird. It makes us uncomfortable.
Sure.
which is challenge. It's like, okay, what do I really need?
Yeah.
And can I get rid of some stuff? Can I simplify my life? Do I have to get caught up in needing to have all this stuff? And then what I do have, it's like, just thank you that I do have what I have.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm glad we were able to solve the homeless issue on this episode.
that's right.
Good job.
So,
Nice.
but Jesus is the answer.
That's true. Yep. And there's some good ministries out
Because they got
there.
to be set free.
Yep.
Or else they're going to go back to it.
Yep. They need to make a U-turn for
Yes.
Christ, which was another
That's a
thing
ministry
at
as
the
well.
at the Calvary Philly conference. It's a good ministry. Yeah. So that was the conference.
Then we went to CBI graduation
yeah.
in Yucca Valley for Brock and Willa.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a good time.
That was a really good time.
And then we drove.
We got Steak and Shake afterwards.
Then we got about less than 5 hours of sleep that night.
Yep.
And then had to get up, drive to the airport, fly out, get to Boise, drive home. It was
I think
a long
that
day.
really just murdered me.
Jordan, not everyone's body can handle travel.
No, I can't.
So
I'm a homebody.
Jordan. Don't feel
No,
weak.
I mean, I'm just
It's
not
a
meant
lot.
for this. I'm just meant to stay in one place.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm not meant to change time zones 3 times in like 72 hours.
I heard this hack on a podcast about adjusting to that. One, if you go into it thinking I'm going to be messed up, then you're going to be messed up. So one, you just got to think the time change is not that big of a deal. Step 1. Step 2, don't eat anything on the plane, he says. Eating on the plane will mess you up. I actually heard something about this the other week too. It's not healthy to eat with that kind of pressure at that kind of altitude. Like it's not good for your gut and digestion. It's just going to create inflammation no matter what you eat. What they're going to feed you on that plane is not good. So it's like, even if this guy's flying to Dubai, he said 14 hours, he completely fasts on the plane, no food, because it just keeps him so his body will stay set where it needs to be. So knowing that you're going to have victory and then not eating anything in the air. And then going to bed when you're supposed to, once you're in the time zone you're in, instead of being like, oh, it's 2 p.m. and I just need a nap. It's like, you just make yourself stay up till 8 and then you go to bed so that then you get an actual 8-hour sleep to then adjust to where you're going to be.
That's right.
Because they have a saying that for every hour you lose, you need a day to adjust. It's like, no one's got time for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very silly. I don't think it affects me that much. I don't think it's the time zone. I think I just kind of got sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah. But I'm fine now.
You're getting better.
I'm getting much better. No time for being sick.
Good.
Yep. Too much work to do.
We got a busy summer ahead of us.
That's right.
Yep. A lot of different things happening. Summer camps around the corner.
Yes.
So that'll be good.
It'll be great. VBS as well.
VBS is around the other corner, but it's coming.
Lots of corners.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thanks for watching the Calvary Chapel Salmon podcast. It's good to see everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.